Welcome back to Caribbean Times News. And this past Saturday, the world celebrated World Fisheries Day. Fishing is vital to the Caribbean, where it is the third largest industry after tourism and farming. Well, earlier we spoke with Adrian LaRota, acting chair of the Caribbean Network of Fisherfolk. Mr. LaRota, thanks so much for joining us.
It's a pleasure to be here. Thank you for inviting us.
The coronavirus pandemic has hit working people so hard. How have fisherfolk been impacted?
Like everything else and most other businesses, the coronavirus, COVID-19 has affected us immensely. But fishermen in the Caribbean were able to basically realign their business models to be able to cope with corona. The greatest impact that we have had was the restriction on trade. And the restriction on harvest. After a period, we were able to get different governments to understand the need for fisherfolk to be able to continue their trade and cause them to accept that fisheries and fish is a part of the proper diet for humans. So it's an essential service. So that caused us to be able to go back out and allowed us to go back out and again engage in the trade, resume harvest. But again, the effects leading up to that were for some fishes in some countries were a bit drastic.
Yeah, how important are fisheries to the food chain during these pandemic times?
Actually, fish is more vital than any other food crop, I would say. Because of not only because of the health and nutrition, but it's also the benefits of eating a product that is not affected by any viral disease like COVID-19, coronavirus, or any other virus. So it's the healthy alternative versus eating the farmed product that has to be relied on to be imported most times from some country where tracing and tracking and sustainable practice are not assured. So seafood is definitely a vital food source for everyone, I would say.
Now, in a recent press release, you stated, and I want to quote, "We demand climate reparation, restoration of nature, and restitution of rights that have been taken away from us." What are some of the political and the environmental challenges facing fisheries?
At the moment, and we have long-running issues. We have historical issues, some legacy issues that we've been trying to address, and the global pandemic didn't make addressing those issues any easier. Some of our countries are affected by a sargassum problem that has basically put a stranglehold on fishing activities. Stocks have been impacted negatively because of this sargassum issues. We have other issues with fishers' livelihoods being impacted because certain areas are being designated or taken away from the fisheries inventory through the establishment of marine protected areas. Of course, climate change is also that, because what we've seen from climate change is while a particular fishing area may be removed from the fishing inventory, and it'll then be designated as a touristic area. So again, the effects of touristic development and coastal development then has a greater effect on the marine environment as a result of those kinds of activities. But there have been a number of things, and there are some legacy issues, and as an organization, we are addressing them not in isolation, but with all of our partners, and we're making progress through some of our partners, CRFM, for example. So we're seeing success, but again, we can't relax and rest on our laurels. We have to continue to agitate and continue to advocate for the things that we feel that we have a right to, because fishers have a right to fish. Okay. So, but that being said, and when we say we're demanding it, because we don't want to gain an inch to lose a foot. Okay. So that's what we, in essence, our fight will always continue, and we'll always keep every issue that we have, we're going to keep it at the forefront. And there are many issues, and I don't want to focus on any one issue, because I don't want our members to feel that the other issues are going to be eclipsed by focusing on any one particular issue. So we have to look at everything in a global scheme.
Now, Jamaica, for example, recently promised more aid to farmers and fishers after all of the flooding and the storm damage there. I'm curious, how have fisheries been impacted by this record-breaking storm season in the Atlantic?
This year, yes, it's and we've seen what is not only Jamaica, but what has happened in St. Vincent, what has happened in Antigua, with the flooding, and it's good for governments to actually come to the aid of fisher folk in these countries, because what you would find is a lot of the damage to the marine ecosystem are basically land-based or driven by land-based activities. Okay, and we need to be able to strike a balance. So, with doing that, fishers must be the focus of playing that balance and not just land-based activities. Okay, because we provide an essential service and we have to continue to work. And in most economies, and particularly economies of scale, the fishery sector is what actually drives certain economies in certain rural communities. Okay, Jamaica is one of those countries where the fisheries industry drives all of the commercial activity in certain rural communities. So when those communities are affected, of course, you're going to have the impact of poverty and social issues that will come about as a result of the impact of these land-based activities on the marine sector. Okay, so it's such an important. It's good that governments are actually understanding that now to be able to provide the support for fishers to continue their trade.
Exactly. So important, especially as we're celebrating World Fisheries Day. Mr. Laroda, I want to thank you so much for joining us.
It's a pleasure. It's a pleasure. And we want to send out a call to all of our fishers that once we begin to speak with one voice and understand the importance of our sector, we're changing the face of fisheries. Fisheries is very important. In some countries, fisheries is actually the number one industry. Okay, throughout the Caribbean, fisheries. I always say to people, fisheries have been around before some of these countries were discovered, but fisheries became number 3 and tourism became number 1. You have to make fisheries number 1 again.
So important. Thank you so much for joining us.
Very welcome. Thank you too.
Hello, I'm Alicia Davis. Thanks for watching the Caribbean Times News on YouTube. If you want to keep up to date with all the latest news and videos we're putting out, you can click on the subscribe button. See you soon.